Fintech has always been the flavor of the season. Okay. Now, it's because it's very large as a market. India as a country, one of those, the population itself makes it a very, very large market, right? So I feel Fintech is here to stay even for the next couple of years or 3-5 years. Newer businesses will come up, and I feel that there's still a lot to be done.
Let's talk about some of the portfolios that you have at Gemba Capital. You clearly have some really good startups in there. Would love for you to share anything, maybe in the personal finance space, wealth management space, investment space, where how did you evaluate these startups, the team, and how are you helping them?
Sure. Specifically to the fintech space, we have investments in companies like Plum on the insurtech side. We have Grip, Strata, Vint on the alternative investing side. We have a company called Inai it's an aggregator of global payments ecosystem, and we've recently made two new very exciting investments. Right. Each one of these investments are very different, right? When it comes to evaluation. If I have to take an example, let me give you an example of Plum, because it's very interesting, because we were the first ones to invest in that space itself. And Plum was the first startup which started group health insurance policies, right? So very interestingly, when we met the founders, both the founders were not from insurance backgrounds, and there lies the trickiness of this space, right? You are starting something in the insurtech space, and both the founders have never worked in an insurance company. You could look at it as negative because they don't have the domain expertise and say bye-bye. The way we looked at it is they were trying to build a product which is not existent. So they had to think from first principles. They have to ask the questions that why is it done like this, right? They have to challenge that. And for that, it's good that they are not from this insurance background. Otherwise, they would probably build a product which is similar to the existing products, right? They come with no baggage. Their glass is completely empty, right? Not half full. So we, in fact, like that. And that's one of the bets we took because of that. We were the first investors. And secondly, I think the problem statement was very, very clearly identified. They had clarity on day zero what they want to build and how they want to build. What's the GTM strategy going to be to start off with and eventually, and how the product is going to be more focused on user UI, UX, and how it's going to be important for people to do it. And so that was one of the bets which did really well. Sequoia came in, Tiger Global came in, 10 other competitors have come in, which validates the market. We were very doubtful about the market size at that time. So what happens is, whenever you're evaluating a category creator, it's tough because the market doesn't look that big. But great founders have an uncanny habit to increase the TAM itself and to go into adjacent markets also and open up markets, right? So I think those, luckily for us, things fell in place. Both the founders had worked in multinationals, they had worked in failed startups, they had then their own startups. So we were happy with the overall, the founder market fit per se. And that is the one investment which we did.
That is an awesome investment. I'm actually, I had used Plum in another company, and so had a great experience over there as well. So,
Insurance is the least disrupted space.
Yeah.
There are only incumbents using legacy, systems, right? And what's the insurance penetration in the country? 0.9%.
Wow.
Right? It is like pathetic, right? China would be at around 8.6 or something. So we clearly knew that there's still a lot more to be done in that space, and Plum was one of the first bets we took in that space.
Brilliant. Let's talk about fintech in India.
Yeah.
2014, India had its first wave of fintech, skyrocketing. Looks like now we are getting a second wave where fintechs are getting again the attention. They are the flavor of the season, right? And you've been investing heavily in fintech.
Yeah.
So I just want to learn a little bit about, what do you think are the problems that as Indians in the Indian market, in the fintech space, that are not yet solved or should be solved? And what is your conviction in this space?
See, fintech has always been the flavor of the season. Okay. Now, it's because it's very large as a market. India as a country, one of those, the population itself makes it a very, very large market, right? And the GDP per capita income is increasing. People are spending money. So we always felt that there's no more innovation which is going to happen in fintech. But every year we see companies reinventing themselves. We thought for 5 years ago payments will be dead, but they're still doing really well. So I think the India stack has obviously kind of led to a lot happening. UPI transactions would be what 250 million people transacting on UPI, right? And there is smartphone availability. So there are all the drivers which enable startups to kind of start something in this and innovate, right? And the government has not stopped yet. Account aggregator ecosystem and so many things are happening, right? So I feel fintech is here to stay even for the next couple of years or 3-5 years. Newer businesses will come up, and I feel that there's still a lot to be done. Um, let's take examples, right? Like, let's credit card.
Okay.
6% penetration of credit cards in the country. US is at 65%, right? UK would be at 68%. Still lots to be done. Maybe a 25-year-old can't get a credit card yet, right? Because there is no CIBIL, there is no track record. But what if he has mutual funds investments worth 1 lakh? Can't you give him a credit of 50,000 rupees, right? Or 75,000 rupees? So there are a lot more innovations which is going to happen. There are probably 70 million MSMEs in the country. 40-50 million out of them still don't have access to formal
Yeah.
credit. But that's we're talking about 50-60 lakh crores worth of debt which can be issued to them. How much of it is catered by NBFCs and banks? Very little. So the RBI came up with small banking license, but there has to be so much more which can be done. Startups can do something there, right? To give this credit in the supply chain, right? Home loans. Let's talk about home loans. The process is completely not digitized. It's broken. The kind of documents anyone would ask for a secured loan is crazy in India, right? Like, I'm giving you my home as a security, right? Like, why do you need so many documents, right? If I want to top up loan on my home loan, it's considered as a fresh loan, and I have to again give a fresh document, set of documents. Why someone is not solving for that, right?